សួស្តីគ្នាយើងទាំងអស់គ្នាអូខេវីដេអូដូចជាស្រេចហើយដែលយើងបានបញ្ចប់ណាយើងខ្ញុំបានអានបន្តអូខេឥឡូវយ៉ាងម៉េចដែរសម្រាប់វីដេអូទី1ទី2គ្នាយើងយល់សាច់រឿងនេះបានប៉ុន្មានទៅហើយអូខេនេះគឺជាវីដេអូទី3ណាដែលខ្ញុំនឹងអានបន្តណាពាក់ព័ន្ធជាមួយនឹងរឿង portions ណាអូខេអញ្ចឹងយើងកុំឲ្យខាតពេលតោះយើងចាប់ផ្ដើមក្នុងការអានជាមួយគ្នាទាំងអស់គ្នាណាខ្ញុំសង្ឃឹមថាគ្នាយើងនឹងរៀនអានជាមួយខ្ញុំទាំងអស់គ្នា Okay, let's start portions part 3 Gandabai is coming. He said for you to lie still. What in God's name does he think I'm doing? Look, Harry, he said no talking. Absolutely no talking, either of us. Why don't you shut up then? When he said this, one side of his mouth started twitching with rapid little downward movements that continued for a while after he finished speaking. I took out my handkerchief and very gently I wiped the sweat off his face and neck, and I could feel the slight twitching of the muscle, the one we used for smiling. As my fingers passed over it with the handkerchief, I slipped out to the kitchen, got some ice from the ice box, rolled it up in the napkin, and began to crush its mold. That business of the mouse. I didn't like that. Or the way he talked either. I carried the ice pack back to the bathroom and let it cross Harry's forehead. Keep you cool. He screwed up his eyes and drew that sharply through his teeth. Take it away, he whispers. Make me cough. His smiling muscle began to twitch again. The beam of a headlamp shone through the window as Gandabai's car swung around the front of the bungalow. I went out to meet him, holding the ice pack with both hands. How is it? Gandabai asked, but he didn't stop to talk. He walked on past me, across the balcony, and through the screen doors into the hall. Where is he? Which room? He put his back down on a chair in the hall of and followed me into Harry's room. He was wearing soft-soled bedroom slippers, and we walked across the floor noiselessly, dedicatedly like a careful cat. Harry watched him out of the sides of his eyes. When Gandabai reached the bed, he looked down at Harry and smiled confident and reassuring, nodding his head to tell Harry it was a simple matter and he was not to worry but just to leave it to Dr. Gandabai. Then he turned and went back to the hall and followed him. First thing is to try to get some serum into him. He sat and he opened his bag and started to make preparations intravenously, but I must do it neatly. Don't want to make him flinch. We went into the kitchen and sterilized a needle. He had a hypodermic syringe in one hand and a small bottle in the other, and he stuck the needle through the rubber or top of the bottle and began drawing a pale yellow liquid up into the syringe by pulling out the plugger. Then he handed the syringe to me. Hold that till I asked for it. He picked up the bag and together we returned to the room. Harry's eyes were bright now and wide open. Gandabai bent over Harry and very courteously, like a man handling 16th century leg, he rolled up the pajama sleeve to the elbow without moving the arm. I noticed that he stood well away from the bed. He whispers, I'm going to give you an injection serum, just a peek, but try not to move. Don't tighten your stomach muscles. Let them go limp. Harry looked at the syringe. Gandabai took a piece of red rubber tubing from his bag and slid one end under and up and around Harry's biceps. Then he tied the rubbing the tubing tight with a knot. He spun a small area of the bare forearm with alcohol, handed the swab to me, and took the syringe from my hand. He held it up to the light, squinting at the calibrations, squirting out some of the yellow fluid. I stood still beside him, watching. Harry was watching too and sweating all over his face, so it shone like it was a smear, thick with cream melting on his skin and running down onto the pillow. I could see the blue vein on the inside of Harry's forearm, swollen now because of the tourniquet. And then I saw the needle above the vein. Ganabai holding the syringe almost flat against the arm, sliding the needle in sideways through the skin into the blue vein, sliding it slowly but so firmly it went in smooth as into chest. Harry looked at the ceiling and closed his eyes and opened them again, but he didn't move. When it was finished, Kandabai leaned forward, putting his mouth close to Harry's ear. Now you'll be alright, even if you are bitten. But don't move. Please don't move. I'll be back in a moment. He picked up his bag and went out to the hall, and I followed. Is he safe now? I asked. No. How safe is he? The little Indian doctor stood there in the hall, rubbing his lower lip. It must give someone protection, mustn't it? I asked. He turned away and walked to the screen doors that led on to the veranda. I thought he was going through them, but he stopped this side of the doors and stood looking into the night. Isn't the serum very good? I asked. Unfortunately, not, he answered without turning round. It might have saved him, it might not. I am trying to think of something else to do. Shall we draw the sheet back quick and brush it off before it has time to strike? Never. We are not entitled to take a risk. He spoke sharply, and his voice was not a pitch a little higher than usual. We can't very well leave him lying there, I said. He's getting nervous. Please, please, he said, turning around, holding both hands up in the air. Not so fast, please. This is not a matter to rush into bald-headed. He wiped his forehead with his handkerchief and stood there, frowning, nibbling his lip. You see, he said at last, there is a way to do this. You know what we must do? We must administer an anesthetic to the creatures where it lies. It was a splendid idea. It, it is not safe, he continued, because a snake is cold-blooded and anesthetic does not work so well or so quick with such animals, but it is better than any other things to do. He could use either chloroform. He was speaking slowly and trying to think the thing out while he talked. Which shall we use? Chloroform, he said suddenly. Ordinary chloroform. That is the best. Now quick. He took my arm and pulled me toward the balcony. Drive to my house. By the time you get there, I will have wake up my boy on the telephone, and he will show you my potions cupboard. There is the key of the cupboard. Take a bottle of chloroform. It has an orange label, and the name is printed on it. I stay here in case anything happens. Be quick now, hurry. No, no, you don't need your shoes. I drove fast, and in about 15 minutes I was back with a bottle of chloroform. Gandabai came out of Harry's room and met me in the hall. You got it? He said. Good, good. I just been telling him what we are going to do, but now we must hurry. It is not easy for him in there like that all this time. I am afraid he might move. He went back to the bedroom and I followed, carrying the bottle careful with both hands. Harry was lying on the bed in precisely the same position as before, with a sweat pouring down his cheeks. His face was white and wet. He turned his eyes towards me, and I smiled at him and nodded confidently. He continued to look at me. I raised my thumb, giving him the OK signal. He closed his eyes. Gandabai was squatting down by the bed, and on the floor beside him was a hollow rubber tube that he had previously used as a tourniquet, and he'd got a small pepper to a funnel fitted into one end of the tube. He began to pull a little piece of the sheet out from under the mattress. He was working directly in line with Harry's stomach, about 18 inches from it. He and I watched his fingers as they tugged gently at the edge of the sheet. He worked so slowly it was almost impossible to discern any movement either in his fingers or in the sheet that was being pulled. Okay, this is the end of the part 3. Okay, so I hope you will get some reading from me and then some meaning from the text. Okay.អញ្ចឹងយើងអាចមើលវីដេអូហើយរៀនអានតាមខ្ញុំណាហើយបន្តមកទៀតគ្នាយើងអាចព្យាយាម understand បកប្រែពាក្យទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងណាមានចម្ងល់មានសំណួរក្នុងការអានទាំងអស់គឺយើងអាចសួរខ្ញុំនៅក្រោមlink នៃវីដេអូនេះបានណាអរគុណច្រើនជួបគ្នានៅក្នុងវីដេអូបន្តទៀតណា